So my name is Micah Stickle, and for some of you, I've met a number of you perhaps, and seen you on Monday and last Thursday. So some of you might know I am the chair of first year in engineering, and so I really have the great pleasure to welcome you to your first lecture of your academic career at U of T Engineering. Now this is the first of about 1,440, so you have a few to go, and give or take, you might miss a couple here or there, I understand that. But when you think of what's in front of you, these 1,440 lectures to come, the diversity of things you'll learn about, fundamentals and things on the cutting edge, from a wide range of instructors and professors, it's really staggering what's in front of you. I think for each of you, those 1,440 lectures will be a unique path. It's one of the great things about our institution that you really can identify your own way through your undergraduate education. Now, it might seem like a large number for sure, but I can guarantee you this time is going to fly by. And I'm hoping in 4 or 5 years we'll meet again here and confer upon you your degree of Bachelor's of Applied Science or Bachelor's of Applied Science in Engineering Science. So hopefully we'll see each other again at that time. Certainly it is an exciting time, and there's really a wide range of things that you can do and career opportunities in front of you. Our plenary speaker today is really a wonderful testament to that. An alumnus who was sitting there not that many years ago and really took full advantage of the unique aspects of our undergraduate engineering education. Now I want to take just a couple of minutes to say a couple of words about this really integral experience of your undergraduate education, which is the lecture. And I'll be brief, but I just want to say and highlight a few things. And when you look at the word lecture, it's interesting, it derives from the word lectus, the Latin word lectus, which is a past participle of legere. Now you probably didn't expect to come here today and hear Latin or learn about lectures in this way, but when you look at legere, it means to read, but it originally meant to gather, to collect, to pick out or choose. And it is true that the lecture derives from the medieval practice of somebody reading books when books were rare. What's interesting is that the origin of this word is really true to what you will experience here, which is your professors will pick out and choose, and the ideas, concepts, thoughts, examples that will most help you learn the material. It is not uncommon for a professor to spend 4 to 10 hours for a 1-hour lecture in preparation. We really do take a lot of effort to figure out and pick and choose these unique things that will help you learn. So take advantage of these tailor-made learning opportunities we call lectures. Really allow the expertise of the professor to guide you in your pursuit of new knowledge and understanding. Certainly this is a bit difficult to achieve from the two-dimensionality of somebody's notes, which you might have to rely on occasionally, or the lecture videos, which you might review at some point. There's an interesting quote from the famous physicist Enrico Fermi, and he said, "Before I came here, I was confused about this subject. Having listened to your lecture, I'm still confused, but on a higher level." So this is true. You might relate, you might have this experience, and that's fine. The lecture is the beginning. It's the beginning of you thinking about the material. It's not the end. And don't let these next 8 months just fly by from assignment to assignment. Oh, sorry. So I missed a page, so. I'm trying to be eco-friendly and print double-sided, but I missed my page. So these lectures are the start. You're not going to leave these lectures with being an expert on circuit analysis or differentiation. So make sure it's just the start. Really ensure that you question the material. Make sure you wrestle with it. Discuss it with your friends, your TAs, your professors. Really take advantage of these learning opportunities that we call lectures. Now, one other thing I just want to say is, as you're doing this, take some time to reflect on how you learn. You're going to be inundated with a lot of material, a lot of assignments, a lot of work, but it's so important to also pay attention to what works for you. So as you write a test, reflect back. Did my study approach work for me? Perhaps you went to all the lectures, you reviewed your notes before the test. Did this work well? Maybe you need do more examples or talk with your peers a little bit more, study in groups. Don't allow the next 8 months to fly by. From assignment to assignment, you will find that it will go quickly and that you will be doing a lot of work as you go, but take the time to actively review how you learn. Ultimately, you are here to learn how to learn. These are the skills that you'll leave us with and use every day in your career to come. Now, your abilities I have no doubt in. You are really wonderfully bright, unique students. And I think any challenges you might face will be more likely connected to how you study, how you learn, how you transition. So think about those as you go. And certainly, one plug for our support team. We are here to help. So Ola, Jennifer, Leslie, and Curtis, we're here to help in the first year office. And if you're in engineering science, Sherry and her team, all the resources within engineering science are there to help. So drop by our offices as you go through the term. You can just drop by and chat. You don't have to have a problem. Just come in and say hi. So let's officially begin this plenary lecture. And to start, I'd like to introduce you to our Dean, Dean Amon. So Professor Christina Amon is a distinguished scholar in mechanical engineering and an innovation leader in higher education. She has expertise in computational fluid dynamics and has applied this to a wide range of applications, including biomedical field. She joined the faculty 8 years ago as Dean and Alumni Chair Professor in Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. And really, she is responsible and has led the strategic development and the vision to come for the faculty over these past 8 years. I have, in my current role, have now seen firsthand what a wonderful leader she is. She's a very compassionate person, one who cares deeply about this faculty and about your success. She makes sure that we all work hard and encourages us all to improve the faculty so that the student experience is the best that it can be. So please join me in welcoming Dean Amon to the stage.
Thank you, Professor Stickel. He himself is a terrific educator. He's a great teacher as well, and many of you will have the opportunity and the privilege to attend his lectures. He's also our first year chair, and you will be interacting with him and his team. Good morning. Good morning to the engineering class of 1T8. And for many of you, 1T8 plus BY. I want to add my warmest welcome to all of you on behalf of the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering and on behalf of the University of Toronto, and tell you how delighted we are that you have chosen to join us, our vibrant engineering community at the University of Toronto. I want also to welcome Mike Branch, who is the founder and CEO of the software company Innovex. And he's also a 2003 graduate of the Edward Senior Rogers Senior Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. I will have the privilege to introduce him in just a moment. Students, today is the beginning of a new journey. Today is the first day of formal classes here at the best engineering school in Canada and one of the very best in the world. And I can say that the journey will not always be easy. We will test your academic rigor, your ingenuity, your endurance, and your ability to work in teams. But I'm sure that you have not decided to come here to the University of Toronto to do engineering because you thought that that was going to be easy. I'm sure you came here seeking for a challenge. And we are very confident that you are prepared to tackle the challenge. As a group, you are a very impressive group with the highest admission average in the history of our faculty at over 93%. This is an achievement that I'm sure, and I hope, you are tremendously proud of. And each and every one of you has what it takes to succeed here. And on this journey, you will not be alone. U of T engineering faculty and staff, your fellow classmates, and even our distinguished alumni are all here, will be here to support you in your road to success. And I want to share with you that something about our professors. As Professor Stickles said, we are here because we have the genuine passion for education, for engineering, and for advancing research at the leading age, and we want to share this excitement with you, our students. I hope that you will also soon be very enthusiastic about this if you are not already. Our staff are also here to assist you. Whether you have questions about courses or computing facilities or financial situations, our staff are always happy, very happy to help you. So please come to us. And in the time ahead, you will have the opportunity to collaborate with and to know your classmates. Take also the opportunity to learn from each other and to support each other. In my experience as a young student, many years ago, I would say, and from conversations with many of our U of T alumni, we always recall our school years as a time for new experiences, tremendous growth, and a time in which you will create lifelong friendships. There is something special about engineering. There is a special bond among engineering students that you will find here at the University of Toronto. The friendships formed here are something that over 40,000 engineering alumni, many of which sat where you are today, frequently acknowledged with fond. And this camaraderie has been always a distinctive characteristic of our school, and some of you by now know we call school, S-K-U-L-E, since the inception over 100 years ago. If your journey ever seems too long, or you lose sight of your goal, just picture yourself sitting in this magnificent convocation hall, wearing your academic robe, with your friends, with your family cheering as you cross across this stage to receive your engineering degree. I truly hope that this will motivate you, will inspire you, and remind you of all the doors that a degree from U of T Engineering will open for you. We believe that your potential is boundless, and as a proof we do not need to look any farther than today's plenary lecturer, Mike Branch, who graduated from this faculty some 11 or so years ago. Mike Branch is a remarkable example of the entrepreneurial and innovative spirit that makes U of T engineering so unique. When he graduated in 2003, Mike and his fellow classmate, Bob Bradley, founded a software company called Innovex. And under Mike's leadership as CEO, Innovex has grown from a small, home-based operation into a very vibrant company that develops software applications for healthcare, energy, and environmental sectors. And earlier this year, Mike won several awards, including the Business Award for Maps BI, which is a cloud-based program that brings together mapping, business intelligence, and community in one platform. And he recently spun this software company into a new startup. Mike was also recognized for his vision and leadership with the Young Engineering Achievement Awards, both from the Professional Engineers Ontario and from Engineers Canada in 2013 and 2014. His generosity is tremendous, and he has always given back to the community. And I'm proud to say that his volunteer leadership started here as a student when he was serving as Vice President External of the Engineering Society, which you will come to know as ENGSOC. And today, Mike continues to give his time and effort to volunteer activities. For instance, he's a member of Streetwise Actors, which supports youth drama programs for youth at risk. Even as he has been expanding his company, Mike never stopped contributing his time and expertise back to the University of Toronto. He was a member of the Engineering Alumni Association Board for 6 years and served as its president from 2011 to 2013. He has participated in entrepreneurship panels here on campus, and he has supported the university in many, many ways, including a multi-university student-run Inspire Innovation Network. Mike, as young as he looks, and he is, will also had received already an Arbor Award from the University of Toronto in 2012, which recognizes his tremendous service to the university. There are several valuable lessons to learn from Mike, some of which I'm sure he will be sharing shortly with us. But let me perhaps highlight one. During your time here at the University of Toronto and throughout your career, immerse yourself and get involved wherever you can, wherever you have a passion for. At U of T University and in engineering, there are many, many students' organizations, clubs, research activities, international exchanges, and other opportunities that can enrich your experience, broaden your horizons, and contribute to your success. Please accept my very best wishes for the year ahead. I look forward to talking with you in many more events. And now, please join me in welcoming our 2014 plenary lecturer, Mike Branch.
Thank you, Christina, for that very warm welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. And welcome to the class of 1T8, to engineering and to the best engineering program this country has to offer. I think that deserves a round of applause from everybody in here. By now, I'm sure you've got a little bit of a taste of what's in store for you over the next 4 years. Yes, the purple dye does come off. Yes, the school band may spontaneously burst into any lecture hall. And yes, we are certainly a spirited group of people. And you know what? We have every right to be. We create some really cool stuff. We are creators, we are innovators, we are explorers. We're always pushing the boundaries of technology. If you tell an engineer it can't be done, that's like telling Rob Ford he can't have dessert. You know? It's simply going to happen whether we like it or not. Thanks. But what really makes us tick as engineers? How is it that engineers, we can develop mobile devices that can communicate with someone halfway across the world using computing power that is more powerful than the fleet of computers that NASA used in 1969 to send 2 astronauts to the moon? How is it that we can develop a car that can drive itself all around the country? How is it that we are uniquely positioned to do these things? How? Well, I think it all starts with the very reason that each and every one of you are in this room today. So here's what I want you guys to do in this room. I want each and every one of you to introduce yourself to the person, the young lady or the young man that is directly in front or directly behind you, because I know you've teamed up already. I want you to introduce yourself to somebody new. And I want you to tell them why you're here today. Well, not really why you're literally here today, but why you chose engineering. So as an example, hi, my name is Mike Branch, and I am an engineer because ... I know it sounds like a little bit of an AA commercial here, but I think it's important. So I'm going to give you just a couple moments to do that. Introduce yourselves to the person in front or behind of you and say, hello, my name is... I'll call everybody's attention back up to the podium here. You guys can carry on that conversation afterwards. I think I opened a can of worms here. Well, you know what? We've also done something remarkable here as well, too. I've also done something remarkable here too. I've gotten you to introduce yourself to someone that you may not have even spoken to in 4 years of engineering. It's a big university here. And you know what? I still remember the first person that I spoke to in engineering, and he still is a very, very good friend of mine. So even though it's a pretty big university, as you can see by looking around you here, don't let that intimidate you. Dive right into things, as my fellow colleagues have been saying. Pursue your interests, make new friends, work hard, and let yourself enjoy university life for what it is. Now, because I know half of you are probably on your cell phones anyways, or have them relatively close, and do this a little bit quieter than you did the last one. I want you to tweet to hashtag engineer because, and then a little tidbit there, okay? You can do it throughout the course. You don't have to do it right now, but tweet engineer because, hashtag engineer because, and I'm really curious to see what comes out of that, okay? Because I want to see what people are here for. You know, I'm interested in seeing how many people say because mom and dad told me to, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that we're all here for different reasons. And, you know, in all seriousness, if you're passionate about the reason that you're here, whatever that reason may be, it's the start of something really, really incredible and something that will continue to grow and develop during your time here at U of T. For me, it was a feeling I got when I created something. That pride of having created something tangible from just the inkling of an idea. It probably stemmed from all of the, you know, the Lego I played with as a kid. Anybody here play with Lego as a kid? I'm sure we all did as engineers, right? That's a good showing. Not as many as I expected, but it was a good showing. But you know, I didn't play with the Lego that was, you know, make whatever is on this box. No, I would take all the other Lego and make my own creation. That's the real engineering. That's the way to do it, right? But all the stuff I created wasn't always great. For example, I remember being in second year, I think it was a digital systems course. And we had to make a program using assembly language. And for those of you who know what assembly language is, it's not the most fun thing to program in. You might as well be typing ones and zeros into the computer and expecting a result. We had to create a program using assembly language that would control a device. So we decided to think a little bit outside of the box. What device would we control using this assembly language? And everybody else was doing something using Lego because it had all the bits and pieces ready for you. No. We decided we were going to do something awesome, something great. So we decided that we were going to make our own pinball machine out of wood and out of actuators and out of sensors that we walked down to Queen Street and bought from Active Surplus. We thought it was going to be amazing. It was terrible. It is the worst pinball machine you've ever seen. The sensors worked okay, but the actuator to get the ball up, the ball might have gone up about an inch. It was not good gameplay at all. But what we learned from that is that we were software guys. We weren't mechanical engineers. We spent all day on that thing and it still looked terrible. I like to think that maybe many of you are in here for a similar reason. Well, not that you want to build crappy pinball machines, but that you simply just like the idea of bringing your imagination to life. So, like I said, I want each of you to really think about why you're here very hard. And if you heard an interesting reason from one of your newfound friends, remember that person too. Because odds are that sitting amongst you here, there are some very talented game changers here in this room today. University of Toronto engineers that will shape the future of this world. And I say that because it's the absolute truth. Our alumni have gone on to become founders of internet giants like eBay, CEOs of massive sports and news media companies, CEOs of global pharmaceutical companies, and the list goes on. You are in very, very good company here at the University of Toronto. And for those of you Iron Man fans out there, I have no doubt that sitting amongst you here, there is a Tony Stark for sure. Many people might argue that the engineer of today and tomorrow is much different from the engineer of years gone by, but I don't necessarily subscribe to that belief myself. Our forefathers had a little insight when coming up with the word engineer, and I'm going to use a little bit of Latin myself. By definition, the Latin roots of the word engineer are a blend of ingeniare, so I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right because I'm not a Latin major, to derive or contrive, and ingenium, cleverness. So while the things we may do and create today are vastly different from the things that were created in the past, we always do it with that cleverness, with that ingenuity. So our forefathers really knew what they were talking about. And after over 10 years out of engineering school, I continue to believe that starting your career as an engineer gives you so much opportunity. If you've got the passion, you will come out of this school with a tool set that you can take to tackle the world. Whether you want to practice as an engineer, go into law, go into medicine, become an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. As aspiring engineers, my biggest piece of advice to you is to challenge yourself, always, in everything that you do, but not just intellectually, in everything that you do in life. I can remember when I first started Innovex right after graduating, all of my friends would come up to me and say, and still do say to this day, you know, that's a very risky, courageous thing that you did right after graduation. And I thought about that statement, and while I appreciate the compliment, I think it was the least risky thing I could do. You know, I was still at my parents' home. I was on my Windows XP laptop that I used throughout university to create software. I was amazed that I could go outside of my house in the backyard and wirelessly connect to the internet. Sounds crazy, right? That was not that long ago. And there weren't too many job prospects that interested me. So I decided to challenge myself and go out on my own. This was the best time in my mind's eye, and it was the least risky time, I thought. And I say challenge yourself because when you do, you will inevitably open yourself up to opportunities and meet new people. And it stands to logic that with more opportunity comes greater chance for success in life. But it's not an easy thing to do. You know, we all get comfortable. You think about all the things that could go wrong instead of asking yourself the most important question. What's going to happen if I don't take this risk? Or don't take this challenge? And university is the perfect time to challenge yourself. As we've heard, you know, step outside of your comfort zone and experience one of the many opportunities that engineering and this university has to offer. There is literally a club for everything here. You can get into student politics, you get into drama, you get into sports, the solar car, any engineering club. And don't get me wrong, engineering is a very, very demanding program, and you will spend a lot of times in the books, but do something else. At the end of the day, your mind will thank you, and those are the experiences that you're going to remember after university. So let me just step into another train of thought here and tell you a little bit about my experience jumping right into business after university. So at its core, at Innovex, we write software. We bring to life the ideas in our heads, in our clients' heads, and make them into a tangible software product. We're experts at coming into a situation that we have no clue about, analyzing that work domain, and then developing software for that specific industry. And as a new grad, I thought to myself, wow, you know, this is really cool. What an amazing challenge. I get to learn so much about each of these industries because you really have to write good software. You know, we've written software for inventory management, for managing patient data, for municipal energy systems. We've worked in the public healthcare space for big pharmaceutical companies, municipal governments, oil and gas. The list really goes on and on. And we literally started Innovex with absolutely no other direction than we wanted to make cool software applications that would help people. That was it. We didn't have a massive business plan. We just dove right into it. We wanted to make really cool software. And now since then, we've focused our efforts a little bit, and we're working mainly in the healthcare and the energy sectors. But when we first started, we had no clue. We had no focus. It wasn't a bad thing. A year or two after graduation, I found myself in Alberta with my business partner, who, as Dean Amon alluded to, was my lab mate and best friend since second year engineering. We did just about everything together. And we were writing software for oil and gas rigs to help them visualize and monitor what was going on underneath the Earth's surface. So we would, tell them the depth of the drill bit, the speed they were drilling at, complete with gauges that could be dragged and dropped around. A manager would come up to the rig on his truck, and he'd be able to wirelessly see what was going on the rig. Pretty cool stuff for, a couple of 25-year-olds back in 2005. It was a really exciting time for us. And you learn a lot about engineering, but also in working with people. And my dad, who's also a U of T engineering grad, electrical, he always told me that the technical part of your job is not going to be the thing that stresses you out in life. It's going to be the people that you work with. That's going to be your challenge in life. And you know what? He was absolutely right. At the time, the mentality in Alberta was, just get the job done as quickly as possible. They didn't care what it cost. They just wanted the job done. So we were on these mobile fracking rigs, which would travel around from site to site to set up shop. These rigs were positioned at old well sites, which had essentially run dry, and they would pump nitrogen into the shale to fracture the rock and create new channels for the gas to get extracted. This allowed them to get the most out of sight. So when you're on these machines, you can just feel the rumble beneath you as they're fracturing into the Earth's crust. And it was pretty neat because we were software guys and we got to experience this whole phenomenon. But we were making changes live sometimes to our software while we were in the doghouse, which is what they call the control room. And it didn't feel quite right. We'd work day and night on site in our hotel rooms to the wee hours of the morning. My tag team, my business partner, to fly back from Toronto, and we'd switch and go out. And this would happen for weeks and weeks on end. And eventually, it wasn't the right process. And after some backlash, we had to push back on this process because it was neither safe nor efficient. We had to put the software through the rigorous engineering and testing methods that it needed, and we didn't have the time to do that while out in the field. And we were early on as a company at that point in time, and we would always say, yes, we can do that to the client. And it's the typical engineering mentality. Yeah, we can do that. We're up for the challenge, no problem. But there's a lot of value to be said in saying no as well. And I think this was the first time, and definitely not the last time, we said no to the client. We were most certainly up for the challenge, but we would do it on our own terms. We would bring the software back to Toronto, develop it in the shop in-house, run it through all the proper quality assurance mechanisms that it needed, and then we would release it. And you know what? The client wasn't happy at first, but he understood the ramifications from a safety perspective. And the biggest lesson that we learned was that we held a lot of responsibility as software engineers. Although we were only 25, we had the most knowledge about that software and how it operated, and our responsibility to ensure that it was done in a safe way and that safe measures were followed were of paramount importance. And a lot of people don't really associate software, with big safety risks, right? It's the civil engineers, the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, the guys who are building your bridges, who are building your cars, your planes. That's where the big risk is. And that is granted, but now it's the control and the role of software to control many of these systems nowadays. And as software engineers, we're also so very accountable. And granted, aside from the work we did in the oil and gas industry, there's not a lot of our work that directly impacts the safety of people, but we write a lot of software that has access to sensitive personal information. As we've seen in recent days with exposed vulnerabilities in systems like the iCloud, software is often front and center when it comes to a cyber attack. And depending on the information divulged, it can have varying degrees of consequences, from the reputation of a celebrity at one end of the spectrum, right, to national security at the other end of the spectrum. So in essence, safety is a huge part of the software realm as well too. And as architects and engineers in this day and age, developing a solution that meets the technical demands and the needs of a user, that's simply not enough anymore. As engineers, we have to be aware of so many other issues which tend to be more political in nature. And yes, this is obviously the case for the other disciplines as well. You have to think about the complete 360-degree picture of what you're doing, and not just the technical impact. So while you still have to think about the speed of your application, the latency, good database design, rigorous code, you now have to start adding on pseudo-technical layers that involve multidisciplinary work, okay? Things like user experience. Arguably one of the things as engineers that we dismiss right off the bat. Oh, it doesn't need to look pretty, right? It just needs to work. No, for something to be used nowadays, Apple has shown us a great way ahead from a user experience perspective. People expect that now, and it's such a critical part to having your software being used. Things like physical location of where your data actually resides, both at rest and in transit. It's It's so critically important, thanks in part to the Patriot Act and in the U.S. Any software we develop for the public health sector needs to reside in Canada on servers in Canada. And typically it has to go through a privacy risk assessment, threat risk assessments by third parties that make sure that we're keeping up with the necessary standards. If you're developing a mobile application, you have to be concerned about what percentage of patient data you can actually store on the mobile application versus, in the cloud. When submitting a proposal for a competitive bid, I've even seen bonus points awarded to proposals where they utilize services that conserve energy. And I thought to myself, well, how in software does this really apply to us? How can I show them that we're, writing software that conserves less energy? Well, these massive data centers that all this cloud-based infrastructure is sitting on consume an exorbitant amount of energy, especially when it comes to cooling the servers. When I was in Europe last year, I ran into this really neat new startup company, and they're out of the US, and they have servers hosted in Iceland. And he told me, you know what, literally all we do is we will open the doors to the server infrastructure for most parts of the year and just let the natural flow of Iceland cool the server infrastructure. And so to think that just by hosting your servers in Iceland, that could earn you points to win a particular bid. These are different things they don't relate necessarily just to engineering, right? There's so much beyond that comes to play when making these decisions. It is a very important part of any architectural design or engineering design you put forth. So after about 9 years in business, we were doing pretty well, pretty solid with a reputable list of clients, private and public sector. We did some really neat projects, even appeared on Dragon's Den, but I wasn't as happy as when I first started the company. We had been creating some amazing products and solutions for our clients, and I could see growth in our business since we started, which was fantastic and satisfying, but we never put a concerted effort into building something for ourselves. And we had so much fun doing it the first time around, we decided to take a bit of a risk and launch a new startup company. This time, we were focused on the product and not the service. And the best part was that I already had the team to develop this with, I knew how well everybody worked together, what everybody's strengths were, what everybody's weaknesses were. We took some of the technology we'd already been starting to develop at Innovext and created a new product-based company called Maps BI that gives organizations deep insight and visualization of large volumes of data, specifically as it relates to location-based data. We launched almost a year ago, and the idea came after seeing so many of our clients having problems interpreting the vast amounts of data that exists out there and correlating that data with other areas of their business, in specific how it relates to location. And with Maps BI, we've done everything from helping companies visualizing their fleet driving habits in real time, to healthcare studies showing the impact of opioid use across the province, to enabling visualization of location data at the micro level. So picture looking at foot traffic at a conference center or an auto show and being able to do pattern analysis to enable more targeted marketing initiatives. So the array of location-based services we offer is pretty vast. And again, with Maps BI, we took a step out of our comfort zone and challenged ourselves to do something different. We could have easily sailed along with Innovext, but we took a step out because it was a risk that I was willing to take, and I didn't want to maintain the status quo. One of the other passions I have is traveling and visiting new places. So one of my goals with Maps BI was to broaden our horizons much more beyond Canada, to give me an excuse to do so, a little bit more traveling, maybe a little bit selfishly. And whenever we do travel somewhere new, I try to make an experience out of it. I bring my wife along. In fact, the first time I traveled to Maps BI was for the International Business Awards in Barcelona last October. And while the award was fantastic, it was great, there was red carpets and all this kind of thing, I'll never forget it because that's where I proposed to my wife. So it's important that you think about, thank you. So it's important that the technical aspect is important, but so is the personal aspect, and sometimes it's easy to get lost in the mix. And you know what? This is one of the things I like most about engineering. The variety of options it opens up to you in life. You never really know where the road ahead is going to take you. Being an entrepreneur and an engineer gives you the flexibility not only to dream up incredible ideas, but put them into action too. We are a very powerful force as engineers, and if you've got that creative business savvy, then all the more power to you. Do you know the number of times I see fantastic ideas get stuck just because the entrepreneur doesn't know how to execute on that technical item or have that technical expertise? We as engineers, we have that expertise, so let's put it to good use, okay? I am really excited, genuinely, for each and every person in this room. You're just at the start of something incredible in your life, and I truly wish I were in your shoes right now. You're in the exact right place at the exact right time, and if you've got that energy and passion, you can have ample opportunity to really turn that idea into reality and create your own destiny. In the last few years, there have been some amazing initiatives happening in engineering at this university. Things like the Entrepreneurship Hatchery that gives students the opportunity to pursue their own entrepreneurial endeavors with links to exceptional mentors who've been through it all before and to help you secure funding to take your idea to that next level and accelerate your growth. We're also in Toronto, right smack dab in the middle of one of the biggest technology hubs in the world. And quite literally, this is no joke, we are among the top 10 technology hubs in the entire world, and you are at a university that is in Toronto. This is fantastic. Again, exact right place, exact right time. There is a network of regional innovation centers scattered across this province with specific programs geared at helping young entrepreneurs. And this isn't just a U of T thing. This is a provincial initiative. And guess where the lead innovation center is? It's right across the street at the Mars building. Again, perfect situation. And I guess what we've created for you is a real first world problem, so they say. You have the education, you have the access, and it's a priority for the university and government to see you succeed, to see successful Ontario companies grow and succeed. Now it's up to you to decide what you want to do with that. In a recent study done by Deloitte, I think it was last year, we in Canada, we do a great job of creating massive amounts of startup companies. But where we falter is in creating longer-term sustainable businesses out of these startups. So I challenge you all to take what you learn here at U of T and do something game-changing with it, whether that's starting up something on your own as an entrepreneur, or seating yourself in an existing company as what we like to call an intrapreneur and helping that company innovate from within. Let's really show the world what Canada is made out of. We have the power to do that, okay? And I've forgotten, one of the most important things here. I've told you all to try and challenge yourselves in everything that you do in life, but have fun with it and celebrate your successes. We're only on this planet for a short period of time. Do something you enjoy. Do something that you're passionate about, and create something that will make a difference. Best of luck, and may you all have a terrific 4 years ahead of you.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. What a great perspective, and I think you've laid the foundation and inspired them all to consider what's possible.